After scouring eBay for cheap laptops, I came across a $15 Chromebook. Now, you could say it's not in very good condition, but for that price I definitely had to jump at it, so let's see exactly what I got.
Here we've got a shoebox, hopefully not containing a pair of used shoes. I do applaud sellers for being eco-friendly and reusing packaging. One thing to note is that the seller was selling the battery separately for a very low price, and I did opt to buy that as well. I assume they've also packaged it into this box. And first up, we've got some airbags, and underneath what appears to be the Chromebook inside a bubble wrap sleeve. Honestly, this is far more protective packaging than a lot of eBay sellers will include. This silver packaging makes me feel like I'm unwrapping a nice grilled cheese sandwich. No sign of that battery though. Perhaps they've gone ahead and installed it back into the laptop. And I haven't used a Chromebook in years, and this one honestly feels very sturdy, but as you can see, the glass is very cracked. And yes, the battery is definitely inside the laptop. While this was sold as for parts not working, the cracked glass seems to be the only issue, and I was able to set it up, just like a new Chromebook. The battery suggests it's in good health, given the estimated runtime. The digitizer on here is apparently supposed to support finger touches as well as ones from the pen that's missing from the laptop. The Corning Gorilla Glass on here could probably be removed if I'm careful, and I'm saving that till last since there's a chance I could completely destroy the screen underneath. I don't care about having a touchscreen, and I also have no interest in paying several times what I paid for this unit for a replacement display assembly. I can see how this would have been great for school students. You can use it like a laptop or a tablet, which Chrome OS is tailored for. I can also imagine that the display is far more likely to get damaged when in tablet mode, given how exposed the glass is. While this is essentially a low-powered laptop running Android, it does have a reasonable selection of ports, and importantly, at least to me, it is charged through a USB-C port. This means you can charge it from a simple battery bank when traveling. No need to lug around a dedicated laptop power supply. And it seems to charge up at 30 watts, which is a decent enough speed considering the size of the battery within. As I mentioned before, it feels like a very sturdy device, and apart from the cracked glass, it's in good condition. To get off some of the keyboard gunk, I used some eucalyptus oil, which made short work of it. Now it's time to see exactly what I can do using a cheap Chromebook. Given that this Chromebook is several years old, it's pretty surprising that it has a low 35 battery cycles used. And when it comes to apps, there are quite a few tailored specifically for Chromebooks. However, you can theoretically install any Android phone app. Given that the digitizer doesn't work and that this isn't a phone, some games may not be very playable. The Android version of Minecraft is definitely playable on here, with both keyboard and mouse inputs working fine. Sadly, there is no way to install the Java version of Minecraft on here, which is my preferred way to play. Another app that worked well is the mobile version of old school RuneScape. Once again, there is thankfully keyboard and mouse support, making it a very solid way to play. While you could watch YouTube through your favorite browser of choice, there is also the dedicated YouTube app. 1080p video playback is perfectly fine on this Chromebook. And for a device aimed at education, the keyboard is thankfully decent, even for such a low-end laptop. Even with the cracked glass, I found this totally fine for everyday use.
So it looks like the Chromebook has arrived safely. And if you want to browse the internet safely and without the usual geographical restrictions, today's sponsor, ExpressVPN, is right for you.
A VPN, short for Virtual Private Network, shields your online activity from your ISP and people that could potentially spy on you or try selling your browsing history. This is done by encrypting and tunneling your internet traffic through secure servers. You can make your internet traffic appear as if you're in many different countries around the world.
If you're like me, your household probably has several streaming accounts, but it's likely not all shows will be available in your region. To get around this, ExpressVPN can be set to a different country so you can access other shows. ExpressVPN allows you to use up to 8 devices on a single subscription, with very fast speeds.
So whether you're browsing at home or using unencrypted Wi-Fi at your local McDonald's or an airport while traveling, make your online life far more secure with ExpressVPN today.
To find out how you can get 4 months for free, click the QR code on screen or the link in the description below, or go to expressvpn.com/Psivewri to enhance your browsing life and safety today.
I've never opened up one of these before, so I figured all you need to do is remove the screws on the base. The best part is you can't lose these screws since they stay with the casing. and with all the visible screws loosened off, I gently unclipped the case. And after loosening off the screw that I'd forgotten about, it came off easily, revealing the simple internals. While it is simple, with no upgradable RAM or storage drives sadly, there are some interesting design choices. With careless students in mind, the keyboard area has a drainage hole for accidental spills. And at first I thought the pen slot had no function outside of simply storing it when it wasn't being used. However, these metal contacts lead me to believe it must be powered for some reason. The Wi-Fi card is surprisingly removable, and given that it's an M.2 interface, perhaps it could be swapped out for solid-state storage. It's budget-friendly, however the lack of upgrade options mean it'll soon be quite outdated. I do find it quite hilarious that the casing has the phrase "wonderful sputtering" next to the build date, and 4 years later it has next to no dust in here, due to the lack of any fans or airflow inside. Now to try something very risky, removing the cracked glass. I'm not sure what the best way to do this is, if there is a good way at all that is. Removing it one small chunk at a time might be the only way, but I'd say doing this was best attempted with the screen opened up. Hidden are 2 screws. Once removed, the lower bezel can be unclipped. Then it appears as if the screen assembly is held on with the remaining 3 screws. I then gently went around the edge to release the plastic clips within. Pushing the display assembly downwards, it finally released and I could flip it over, dislodging the connectors to the display, digitizer, and what I believe is a light sensor. I did end up leaving the camera connected since it was attached with a very long cable. And I figured that I'd disconnect the touch digitizer since I planned on prying it from the surface. That glass is held on very strongly with adhesive, not easy to remove at all, and I thought applying a bit of heat would prove useful. Oh, and safety glasses are definitely a must to avoid bits of glass blinding me. This did make the adhesive far softer, however the glass was still difficult to remove, and I thought there would only be adhesive around the edges of the screen, but that glue is under the whole display surface, making it almost impossible to remove without damaging the LCD underneath. I thought I would check to see if the display panel had sustained any damage so far. It appears to still turn on at the very least, but oh my, it is not looking very good anymore. So how about we use this tiny laptop like a desktop computer, giving us a much larger screen to work with. Chrome OS made it very easy to set the external display as the primary screen, and games seem to work very well, even at 1080p. As long as the apps you want are compatible with Chrome OS, this is a very viable desktop replacement. And since the internal display has a damaged corner, to make the icons visible, I simply set the shelf to the right side instead. And for such a low-powered device, I'm genuinely impressed, and I think most students could get by using one of these Chromebooks. This one even has 2 sets of cameras, but how good are they?
Hello guys and welcome. Today we're going to be reviewing this super glue. How good does it taste? Let's find out.
The video quality isn't great, but would get the job done for a Zoom call. The camera above the screen maxes out at 1280 by 720 for photos as well. The other camera, just above the keyboard, works best in tablet mode. A little more challenging for us since the screen no longer accepts touch inputs. Recording at 1080p, the rear camera is a big improvement, and it'll take photos at 5 megapixels. They aren't horrible, that's for sure. This lens does have autofocus, and does a reasonable job of isolating the subject with its f2 aperture. For work and a bit of gaming, a cheap Chromebook is an excellent option, but once the updates stop rolling in for these older devices, their functionality will be very limited.
So there we have it, a modern Chromebook. Not exactly in the best condition thanks to the cracked glass, but it is definitely still usable. It's pretty impressive how cheap these little laptops can be, and for students, they are definitely a good fit. But for me, not exactly particularly useful. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll get some more content out to you real soon. Have a good one.